Garbage collector?
I never collected garbage. I disposed of it.
You're just going to sit on the floor like a dog who wants to die. My father was going to send someone else, but I'm making my bones.
You make your bones by killing someone who can hurt you back.
And who would that be?
You.
I didn't kill her.
You did.
You cost my father money. Now we're going to make an extra special example out of you. So, here's the deal. You're free to go. But we will have eyes on you. Anyone you try to make friends with or even talk to will die. Like your wife. If you're still here tomorrow, we're going to kill the landlady.
In the vibrant city of Nanjing, China, there resides a remarkable young girl named Mei. Gifted with an extraordinary mathematical mind, she can effortlessly solve intricate equations in her head and possesses an impeccable memory that allows her to recall any series of numbers she encounters. One fateful day, as Mei walks home with her friends, her life takes a dark turn when a group of men abducts her. She is taken captive by Han, a notorious leader of the Chinese mafia. With his criminal operations under constant surveillance, Han seeks to exploit Mei's unique abilities, intending to use her as his personal human calculator to memorize sensitive data. Initially defiant, Mei stands her ground against Han's demands. However, when he threatens the life of her mother, she is forced to comply, her spirit crushed by the weight of fear. Under the watchful eye of Chang, a trusted member of Han's gang, Mei is whisked away to New York, where she is concealed under the guise of Chang's daughter. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, Luke, a former police officer turned cage fighter, finds himself entangled in a high-stakes match that he has deliberately set up to lose. However, in a moment of unintended ferocity, he lands a punch that knocks his opponent into a coma, incurring the wrath of Emil, the ruthless head of the Russian mafia, who loses millions because of Luke's unexpected victory. Realizing that his actions have put his family in jeopardy, Luke races home, only to discover that the Russians have acted swiftly. They have already murdered his pregnant wife at the hands of Emil's son, Vasily. Devastated by this loss and paralyzed by grief, Luke refrains from seeking vengeance against the thugs who threaten him. Instead, they issue a chilling ultimatum: anyone he interacts with will be targeted for death.
So, here's the deal. You're free to go. But we will have eyes on you. Anyone you try to make friends with or even talk to will die. Like your wife. If you're still here tomorrow, we're going to kill the landlady.
With nowhere left to turn and no one to rely on, Luke retreats to his hometown of New York and descends into homelessness, wandering the unforgiving streets of Manhattan. A year later, Mei continues to serve the gang, dutifully memorizing financial data for various businesses in Chinatown during weekly outings with Chang. Her ability to compute net profits and losses makes her an invaluable asset to the criminal enterprise. Throughout this harrowing experience, she gains a profound understanding of the underbelly of business in the gangster world. In a separate narrative thread, Luke struggles to survive in a disorganized homeless shelter. One night, he encounters a man with no shoes and severely infected feet. Moved by compassion, Luke gives away his own new shoes. However, the following morning brings a grim revelation. He awakens to find that the man has been brutally murdered, his throat slit and shoes stolen in the night. This tragic event further cements Luke's descent into despair and highlights the brutal realities of life on the streets. Luke's living conditions are dire, reflecting the depths of his despair. In the middle of the night, a woman closely associated with Chang approaches Mei, delivering the devastating news of her mother's death back in China. It turns out that her mother had been gravely ill and hospitalized. The following day marks a significant moment as Han, the gang's leader, arrives in New York for the first time since sending Mei away. He presents her with a piece of paper inscribed with a series of numbers, instructing her to memorize them, a task she accomplishes in under 10 seconds. The urgency and importance of these numbers are underscored when Han burns the paper to ashes, ensuring that only Mei retains this critical information. Afterward, Chang escorts Mei to their next location, where she is informed that she will need to memorize another series of numbers upon arrival. Everything unfolds as planned until their operation is violently interrupted by an assault from the Russian mafia, led by Emil, the very gangster responsible for Luke's wife's murder. The Russians are also after May, seeking the numbers she has committed to memory. A fierce shootout erupts, resulting in the Chinese gangsters being overpowered by their Russian counterparts, who manage to abduct May. Meanwhile, Luke is having a particularly rough day. A passerby steals his meager breakfast money. As he attempts to buy something to eat, he unexpectedly runs into a former colleague from the police force. Recognizing him immediately, the officer takes Luke to an abandoned building where other disgruntled cops await.
One of us, Luke. We were a team. Then you threw us under the bus.
Oh, hey, easy, Benoit.
Years prior, Luke had exposed their corrupt practices of colluding with local gangs, and they have harbored resentment ever since. They unleash their fury on him, beating and berating him while he remains passive and refuses to fight back. Ultimately, one of the officers hands Luke a gun, urging him to take his own life, but he resolutely declines and walks away. Simultaneously, May finds herself face to face with Emil, who demands information about the numbers she has memorized. It soon becomes clear that the woman who delivered the news about her mother was secretly working with Emil all along. When pressured to reveal the code, May cleverly asserts that the woman will meet her demise because she lacks understanding of how business operates. Almost immediately, the men execute the woman, deeming her useless. Understanding that revealing the numbers would seal her own fate, May remains silent. At that moment, Captain Wolf, a corrupt cop and one of Luke's former colleagues, arrives at the Russian hideout under the guise of pursuing justice. However, his true allegiance lies with Han, who has orchestrated this encounter for his own gain. Emil seizes the opportunity to negotiate with Wolf, offering him double the money from the Chinese gangsters in exchange for turning a blind eye to their operations. The corrupt captain reluctantly accepts the deal and retreats, leaving chaos in his wake. By this time, May has managed to escape the hideout, slipping away unnoticed. Both the Russian and Chinese gangsters soon realize her absence and launch a frantic search, each hoping to find her before the other does. In a twist of fate, May arrives at a subway station just as Luke stands on the precipice of despair, ready to end his life. In that critical moment, their eyes meet, her terrified gaze halting his resolve. Luke's attention shifts as he spots the gangsters responsible for his wife's murder, also hunting for the frightened girl. In a desperate bid to evade them, May boards a subway train, but the gangsters catch sight of her and pursue her. Realizing the danger she is in, Luke springs into action, determined to save her.
Garbage collector? I never collected garbage. I disposed of it.
In the end, that thug meets his own demise at Luke's hands. Finally, Luke reunites with May, but as the subway screeches to a halt, she mistakenly flees into the crowd, seeing him as just another threat. As he searches for her, Luke overhears a red alert being broadcasted to all officers, realizing that corrupt cops are also hunting for May, intending to hand her over to the mafia. Just moments later, two of the officers who had assaulted Luke previously spot May and attempt to take her away. Arriving just in time, Luke swiftly knocks them out, revealing that his silence was a choice rather than an inability to fight back. Though May remains wary of him, she reluctantly gets into a car with Luke as the Russian mafia closes in. A high-speed chase erupts through the streets of Manhattan, culminating in Luke's triumph as he dispatches the remaining Russians and seizes their wallets before whisking May away to a luxurious hotel. Meanwhile, the captain uncovers that May was abducted not by the mafia but by Luke himself, a shocking revelation given Luke's absence from any criminal activity since leaving the police force. Once settled in the hotel, May begins to trust Luke and shares details about the numbers she memorized. Upon examining their format, Luke realizes they correspond to a safe combination. May reveals she was meant to memorize a second sequence before the Russians attacked, indicating there are two safes containing something of great value, likely involved in a trade orchestrated by the Chinese mafia. Just then, Chang locates May through a tracking device in her phone and arrives at the hotel with his henchmen, igniting a fierce shootout that threatens to engulf them all. As panic erupts, people scramble to escape for their lives. Amidst the turmoil, Chang seizes May, while Luke narrowly escapes death. Determined not to abandon her, he resolves to do whatever it takes to ensure her safety. He uses a phone he had stolen earlier to call Vasily, the son of the Russian leader Emil, who also happens to be the man responsible for his wife's murder a year prior. Feigning loyalty as a gang member, Luke claims to possess the vital number everyone is after. Vasily, believing his ruse, invites him to a casino for the exchange. Meanwhile, in a separate scene, the city's mayor summons the corrupt police captain to his office to address the recent spate of shootings. It soon becomes clear that both he and his boyfriend Alex are equally entrenched in corruption. The mayor reveals that Luke was no ordinary cop, he was a CIA agent assigned to the police force post 9/11. During his tenure, he and his former partner Alex had orchestrated the assassination of several crime bosses in a bid to restore order. However, Luke's exposure of the captain's corrupt practices forced him to resign, while Alex remained behind, seducing the mayor to climb the ranks of power. The captain begins to comprehend that the man he dismissed as a loser is actually his most formidable adversary. As this realization dawns, it is revealed that Alex is now entwined with the mayor, both having succumbed to corruption. When news reaches the mayor about May's connection to Luke, an unmistakable tension fills the room, hinting at his awareness of something significant regarding the safe and its combination. Meanwhile, May is brought before Han, who questions her about revealing the combination. She cleverly lies, claiming she feigned ignorance of English. Chang subsequently contacts Alex, informing him that they have captured May and can proceed with their planned meeting. It becomes apparent that the Chinese mafia's intended business partners are none other than the mayor and Alex, who are engaged in a trade involving the mysterious contents of their respective safes, akin to exchanging unopened boxes of collectible cards. At the casino, Luke makes his move against Vasily's henchmen, ambushing them and taking them hostage as leverage against Emil. He contacts Emil, demanding information about the contents of the safe in exchange for his son's life. Emil reveals that the safe held by the Chinese gangsters contains an astounding $30 million, while the mayor's safe conceals an item of equal value, setting the stage for a high-stakes confrontation that could alter everything. The parties were poised to execute a trade involving the little girl, but the Russians intervened, thwarting their plans. Now that the Chinese have May, however, the scheme is back on track. Chang arranges to meet Alex to exchange the codes necessary for the transaction. For Luke to save May, he must retrieve the $30 million from the Chinese mafia before the trade occurs. Yet, he knows he cannot accomplish this alone. The safe is hidden deep within Chinatown and fiercely guarded by the most dangerous members of the Chinese gang. Desperate for assistance, he reaches out to his former cop colleagues. They agree to help, motivated solely by the promise of money. As they infiltrate the gang's hideout, a fierce shootout erupts, resulting in casualties among both gangsters and cops alike. Upon finally reaching the locker, Luke betrays his former colleagues. Gunning them down one by one, sparing only the captain whom he takes hostage alongside Vasily. With the money secured, Luke makes his way to the mayor's office. During his journey, he calls Alex to inquire about the contents of the second safe. With Luke now in possession of the money, Alex feels compelled to comply with his demands. He reveals that the second safe belongs to the mayor and contains a disc detailing every crime syndicate operating in New York. The mayor intended to sell this information to the Chinese in exchange for $30 million, leaving the gangs to manage their own affairs. While Alex was preparing to finalize the deal with Chang, he now pivots to meet Luke instead, but not before Luke insists that he bring May as long as she is a crucial asset. Following orders, Alex eliminates Chang and his henchmen and drives to meet Luke with the girl in tow. In a tense confrontation at the mayor's office, Luke demands the contents of the second safe. Though reluctant, the mayor has no choice but to hand over the disc containing critical information. After knocking him out, Luke rejoins Alex as promised. With both the money and the data in hand, Luke finds himself in a position of immense power, but Alex possesses something even more valuable: May. When they finally meet to exchange May for the money, Luke refuses to cooperate, suggesting they settle matters through combat. Now free with May, along with both the cash and the disc for protection, Luke makes a decision to release the captain with $50,000 as compensation for his troubles and allows Vasily to go free to prevent retaliation from the Russians. Meanwhile, Han, the leader of the Chinese mafia, finds himself robbed of both money and May. To placate him and deter any pursuit of May, Luke sends him the remaining funds. Finally, Luke discreetly hides multiple copies of the disc throughout the city as a safeguard. Should anyone threaten their safety, they now possess leverage over powerful figures. In a poignant closing scene, Luke and May drive towards Seattle, leaving behind their tumultuous past to embrace a new life filled with hope and possibility. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.